You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls, tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430, episode 171. And I got to apologize right off the bat because I know there wasn't an episode this week. And I know the millions of fans are just screaming and you're losing your mind because you didn't get to listen to my angelic voice after the Christmas break. So, but we're coming back stronger and better because we've got Chris Twardokus. Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Yeah, I did it. So we got Chris coming on with us, and this has been a long time coming, because this should have happened easily a year ago, and yeah, it's just been a nightmare trying to get Chris on and my schedule and Chris's schedule and the whole bit, but we got to thank the common friend, which is Greg Taylor, for introducing us, and Greg's done some great work for you, Chris, and he's the one that introduced us. So shout out to Greg Taylor out in BC. Thanks so much for the introduction. Philly is with us. Mark had something pop up last minute, right before we were going on. Mark said he couldn't attend. So you just got Philly and I tonight with Chris. So if you're watching, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on podcasts, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, please. It really means a lot to me and to Phil and the rest of the boys for the show that you show your support. So I'm begging you, please like and subscribe and tell all your friends about it. Okay, all that bullshit's out of the way. Now we can get into the show. So Chris, buddy, I got to tell you. So Broken Beak Custom Calls, and I know it's a big thing with you, and we're going to get into it. But this fucking veterans hunt that you do, and I'm not taking anything away from your call company, buddy, but I really got to dive into this veterans hunt because obviously it means a lot to me being a veteran myself. This is a very, very well-oiled machine that you guys have down there. So first off, I got to say this, and I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, but the Horicon, is that how I say it?
Horicon Marsh.
The Horicon Marsh, the largest freshwater cattail marsh in the United States. And you guys do a veteran hunt there. It's been going on for 15 years. You've been a part of it for the past 10. And over 1,000 veterans have taken part in this camp. Unbelievable, insane, and just looking at the website, I'm going to bring up the website, do a share screen here while you talk. But how did you get involved with this?
So I met the late Ryan Voy, which he was the vice president of the event when I first started.
Okay.
Or when I first found out about it, and he told me to come down to the boathouses to see what it was all about. I went down there. At the time, they just did hunts on the Horicon Marsh.
Yep.
And just water hunts, and there was probably, I'm guessing, 20 to 30-ish veterans at the event. And I didn't know what it was all about. I just went down there for a good time. And then after I was there and got to talk to the veterans and just had a great time, I asked how I could get involved. And from there, I started field guiding because I do field hunts.
Yep.
And then we started doing the field hunting thing, and it got bigger and bigger. And now we have 85 vets come every year. We fill up. I open registration up in March at some point, and on a Friday night at midnight. And we last year filled up in 2 minutes. So
and
yeah,
and that's 85. Wow, dude.
85 in, 20 on a wait list, was full in 2 minutes, and people are having drinking parties waiting for this. I'm getting messages and whatever. It's sort of fun to watch, but it's sad that you can only allow so many people because you wanted to make it quality. So
No, and so obviously, and I'm preaching to the choir by saying it to you, and Phil, you know this as well, being a first responder yourself. Um, but for the people that that are listening that aren't veterans or don't know veterans and don't know how things all work out for them and stuff, um, this is something that is definitely needed, right? Like, and the reason why I say it's needed is because for the simple thing that you just said, like people are throwing parties waiting to register for this. Like the veterans need it, right? Because it gets them out of their house, it gets them outdoors, it gets them interacting with people again. Now I'm sure not everybody is hurting and the whole bit, but I'm sure there's some fellas that, guys or girls, that need that little push to get back out in the nature and being around people. So um I'm just like these
yeah,
numbers, I'm just
that's. I
looking at
mean,
them.
it's totally not about the hunt. It's weird because it's a veterans hunt, but it's
Right.
about getting them outdoors, meeting common folks, making new connections with new people. And it gives them an outlet to discuss anything or just have a good time. I mean, you know how hunting is. It's most of the time you don't get anything or very few, but it's joking around and shooting the breeze with your buddies. And when they're in when they're hunting with me, it ain't about the birds. It's all let's have fun. You know,
Yeah. And
we
with
let them set the decoys. We want them to get the full experience because a lot of these veterans aren't, say, avid waterfowl hunters.
right.
Some of them never hunted before,
Oh
and
wow.
they just come because people told them. They tell them about the event, and it's like they come and they just want to experience it. And once they're there, they have a good time and are usually wanting to get back the following year. It's not always guaranteed, of course, but
Right. Um, and with, duck hunting, goose hunting, and we've talked about it on this show many, many times. It is probably one of the more social hunts that you can do, right? Like you can chat, you can move around for the most part, have a smoke, have a laugh, um, play grabby ass like you normally do at anything, right? Like you're hanging around with a bunch of dudes and there's always some sort of hijinks going on, right? But and
yeah,
it is a social hunt. And like you said, the birds are secondary, right? Like the whole point is to get people out interacting and talking to people. So buddy, it's impressive. Like I just had that shared screen up there, like the numbers,
yeah.
38 dogs, 50 guides, or 35 guides, 50 volunteers. Like it's
38
impressive,
wet
dude.
dogs.
38 wet dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have it all starts on Friday night. Well, I mean, it's supposed to start Friday night, but now people are having so much fun. They end up meeting some friends, that some of them get lucky and get in every year or get in every other year or something. And when they do get in, they set up because they've met people that are local in our area, and they come a couple days earlier. And it seems like it starts earlier and earlier. They're hooking up for extra hunts with friends, and it's um like I have a good friend of mine that he's actually from Texas, and he has a house up here well,
Yeah.
it's down here for you guys.
Yeah.
But they own a house in this area for hunting, and he's a veteran, and he
Yeah.
lets me use his house for the veterans hunt to host
Wow.
some veterans in his house. So then I end up this year I picked the people that had to travel the farthest to get to our event.
Yeah.
So they had less money trying, if they wanted to get a hotel or whatever
Right.
they wanted to do, they had a place to stay. But they come, and then I usually will go out for supper with them on Thursday night already, and then Friday I usually take a group out hunting just because I'm off anyway, and we go. But
Okay.
um,
I do have to add in here for anybody that's wondering, like this is all happening in the great state of Wisconsin, right? So
correct.
so do you get a lot of out-of-state veterans coming, or are you mostly sticking to the Wisconsin?
No, we're all over. I mean, like this year we had people from New York, or a veteran from New York, one from Alaska,
Oh, wow.
Texas, Florida,
Oh, wow.
and then Illinois. And, as we get closer to
Right.
Wisconsin, there's more, of course. But
Of course.
yeah, I mean, that's what the call making thing, and we don't need to get into that right now. But the call making thing connected me with the guy from Alaska, and he was a veteran. He's a Purple Heart recipient, and
Oh,
he
wow.
came to our event, right?
That's
Now,
Just
my
a
big
cool
question
way.
is, where in Wisconsin are you located? Please don't say Appleton.
No, I'm an hour south of Appleton.
It's funny because there's a couple of other YouTube channels that I follow. And it's like everyone's from Appleton, Wisconsin.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm from Mayville, Wisconsin, which is a small little, 6,000 person town. Right. I mean, the Horicon Marsh is 3 minutes from my house. But that's the thing about Horicon in general. The Horicon Marsh is, you don't realize. I mean, it's a huge marsh, and I live here every day. That it's sort of common nature for me. You just take it for granted. But then when these veterans are coming, like the guy from Alaska, you think of the views that he has every day, and he's like, "This is just amazing," And
Wow.
it's that it takes you back a little bit. So.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. You just sort of kind of touched on a real cool thing because, again, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, but we always talk about on this show how this waterfowling community is such a small community, right? And you just touched on, you have your own company, your Broke Beak Custom Calls, and that linked you with the veteran, and then the whole, then he comes to the hunt, comes to the veterans hunt with you and everything like that. So, I want to get back. I want to get into talking about your call company, but I also want to get a little bit more of your history because, when you and I were talking and you had sent me, some information about yourself and your history and stuff, like you've been chasing like I've been chasing birds for a long time, but you got me beat because you've been chasing them since you've been 4 years old, man. Like,
Yep.
and the same area, right?
Yeah, so we own a family farm like that borders up to the Horicon Marsh,
Okay.
and my grandparents are a farming family, and they have man-made ponds on their property, and they're awesome wood duck shoots. They're awesome to take kids out to. It's a 300-yard walk from the truck. And it's like, so I take my kids. I mean, if you follow me on
Yeah.
Facebook, you'll
Yeah.
see pictures of my kids, and that to me is what the family farm is about. I don't take many friends out to the
Right.
farm. It's me, my dad, my cousin, and then some nights the kids will come with me, and it's a wood duck shoot, and it's
Yeah.
just fun.
No, but it's a special place, right? And
Yeah,
keep it special, buddy.
yeah,
The last thing you need is something, a space, a place that's special, and then it becomes not so special because now you've got so many fellas. Phil's got a little duck hole in a field that I've never been to. I've been to the field, but I've never been to the
You've been
duck
close
hole.
to it.
I've been close to it, but like
he
that's a
says he
whole.
likes you.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But this is a place that Phil and his dad goes with his son. You know what I mean? Like you've got to keep those places special because
Yep.
they are special for a reason, right?
Exactly. I think of like when I've been hunting with my dad forever. I mean, we still hunt together, and but he's more of a bull hunter. My brother and my dad are bull hunters at heart. My cousin as
Okay.
well, but they'll go the first few weeks with me because that's what they like to do, right? And
Yeah.
bull hunting isn't good yet, so it gets them out doing something, and sometimes it's not even much of a hunt. I mean, it's usually good shooting, but it's not. Say you don't have to set decoys. You don't have to. It's wood ducks, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
they come in this half. It's a horseshoe pond with popple trees all the way around it, and it is, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad,
Right.
it's good for maybe a week, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
But
You get a
that's
couple
what
good
it is
shoots
about.
in
And
it.
then I usually start hunting with friends after that.
No, it's awesome, buddy. It is. And I guess, for anybody that's listening and they say things, and I know this because I hear people saying, they're like, oh man, you're so lucky that you're growing up in an area like this and you're surrounded, like your family are hunters, and you've got a spot that's a 300 yard walk from the truck, and you get to take your kids and the whole bit. And listen, I get it, and I understand when people say that you're so lucky. Um, but those areas are everywhere in Canada and the US, right? But the trick is that you just got to get out and you got to go find them. Um,
Hmm.
you may not be lucky enough to have a family farm, but the area is around. You just got to put in some work and try and find it. Uh, talking to Phil, was talking to Phil today, and we sit down, we're having a coffee and we're chatting and stuff. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing the rest of the day? Well, you know, our season, what have we got, Phil? Like 3 days left of our season?
Um,
Two, Friday and
yeah,
Saturday.
depends where you are. It's either Saturday
Yeah.
or Sunday.
So, and that's what he's doing. He's finishing up and it's, I don't know, like -16 here Celsius. So I don't know what that is. That's probably like minus, or that's probably 30 degrees, maybe Fahrenheit, something like that. So like we're coming to the end of our season,
We've
and
been done for a month already. So,
really,
I mean, well, our duck season was done December 6th or 7th, whatever day
right?
it was, somewhere around there. I mean, our goose season, I think, I don't know, it just finished up just recently, but I'm not much of a, I'll shoot geese. I like shooting them, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I'm about ducks. That's what I'm about. So,
yeah. I'm with
um,
you on that, buddy.
this year, just the whole hunting here was not good. I can blame it on a lot of things, but it wasn't a great. It was probably the worst one that I've ever
Yeah.
experienced. You know?
Well, that seems to be a common theme, man. Like I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it a lot. Like, and I'll say it for my area. Like I didn't see a lot of ducks around this year. I said lots of geese. I didn't see a lot of ducks, but then I talked to other fellas, and they're like, "Man, we're in the ducks. We see lots of ducks." So I guess it all depends on where you are. But if you're scrolling through social media and stuff, and Phil, we've talked about this, that it seems more and more, and someone can call bullshit on this that I'm saying, but I honestly think that the weather is really, really affecting the birds and migration and stuff. Like the last two seasons, I think we missed the migration. I think they just passed straight over us and just continued on south. And then this year, I don't know. I even now I still don't see a ton of ducks around. There's divers, but I don't see a lot of puddle ducks around. I don't know. What about you, Phil? Like, what are you like? Have you noticed a big difference in your area?
Well, I don't see duck numbers to begin with,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like I'm all geese, and in fairness, like numbers wise, I really haven't seen much of a difference. Like in the areas that I hunt, like there's sometimes they fly up this side of the road
Right.
or they fly up that side of the road, and they usually fly up the side of the road that I'm not on
Yeah.
when I go hunting,
Yeah. Go figure,
right?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's certain days where but like you're beating them away with the stick.
Yeah.
Like that's just how they're doing it. And there's other days like you're hooked up to the oxygen tank,
Yeah.
running calls, trying to traffic birds. But like numbers wise, like again, geese, it's never been an issue. Just for whatever reason. Now, mind you, I don't do a whole lot of scouting around Lake Scugog.
Right.
I just haven't. Like I got
Yeah.
my fields and just whenever I'm happy with what I got, I'd much rather go shoot small water, public water.
Mm-hmm.
So like duck numbers, I can't really attest. Like I find certain areas that I hunt, you'll see some more ducks
Yeah.
than other areas. Like some fields, hey, you might pop a couple here and there throughout the season, but like you're not seeing wads.
Right.
Like I'm not going out doing a field shooting. Oh yeah, like yeah, we saw 5, 6, 800 mallards today. Like it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just sheer geographics where I am, which is quite shocking, honestly, to me, being like right kind of like in the funnel of the Kawarthas, and
Yeah.
but just it is what it is.
Chris, so you would be what, the Mississippi Flyway?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yes,
like, yeah, go for it, buddy. Sorry.
it's just weird because it seems like the last 3 years have gotten progressively worse.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I agree.
but I don't. I mean, and it was like a big step down 3 years ago, and then it just seems like it just keeps trickling worse. And I mean, I've seen some things online where they're showing like snow cover the last few years, and I mean, I do believe that has a lot to do with it. You guys aren't freezing
Yep.
up, and so we aren't freezing up, and so people below us aren't getting birds either,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's different migrations throughout the season, so you'll see smaller groups throughout the season. You get a windy day or whatever, you get different birds, right? But
Yeah.
the pure numbers is like when you're a field hunter. I mean, it sounds like Phil is mostly a field hunter.
Yeah.
When you're hunting fields, you don't set up for 10 ducks, so it's like you're driving around, and you can here this year you could drive around forever and ever, and if you see in 10 ducks, I'm not setting up. That's just not happening, right?
Right.
And the birds were here about 2 weeks ago, but our season was over. We had a pretty big push of mallards out in some cornfields by us, up by Lake Winnebago, by Appleton.
Yeah.
But but yeah, there
should have been here yesterday, guide service.
Yeah.
So you got to realize where I live. I'm an hour north of Milwaukee, an hour east of Madison, and an hour north or an hour south of Appleton. So
Right.
like I'm sort of right in the middle of them. So
Yeah.
if you want to look at where we're at, and
I already looked it up on the map.
just to go one more thing on the veterans hunt before we get away from that. This hunt is 100% free for the veterans. There's no charge. I mean, they got to pay for their hunting licenses and a way to get to our event. Otherwise, there are living quarters. Some people decide to get a hotel just because it's a little more comfortable, but there are living quarters at the event. So I wanted to let that out there if anybody hears that.
No, that's awesome. No, and it's good. It's good to know because it's stuff that people need to hear, right? Because especially if they're. So I'm looking at Appleton, Oshkosh.
I've been to Eau Claire.
We're straight down from them.
Okay, let's see. So Green Lake,
a little south and east.
Little south and east.
Like I've heard of the Horicon Marsh like in the past, but really had no idea where the heck it was.
Yeah. Keep coming southeast.
I've slept in Eau Claire, the big metropolis.
You see Lake Winnebago on there, a big blue blob right by Oshkosh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go straight south of that.
Oh, there it is. Horicon, right there.
Yep.
Yeah, got it. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, there you are, Mayville.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. But so you really are, you're right in the middle of everything, really, eh?
Yeah.
And then you got.
That's what I say. It's not like I like living in a small town, not a big town guy, but like if I want to get to like a Madison Badger game, or if I want to get to a Bucks or a Brewer game, I can go to Milwaukee quick enough. I'm not a Packer fan, so I'll never go up there. But but I mean, to get to Appleton's hour, So.
Yeah, I wish Mark was here now, just so you could have said that you're not a Packers fan.
He is.
Oh yeah, because he's one of those guys that, hey, who's the most famous? I know he's not going to listen to this episode because he's not here. So he was like, who's the most popular team to cheer for? Green Bay. Okay, that's who I'm going to cheer for. That I have no doubt in my mind that's how that conversation went down.
Yep.
So, and I go the opposite way. What's the team nobody cheers for? Minnesota. So then
that's where I'm a fan of the Vikings, and that's hard living in Wisconsin. So
yeah, so I'm a Vikings fan too, buddy. So
man, they just suck too. So that's unfortunate, but they suck.
I'm learning football, right? Like, so obviously I grew up playing hockey and everything hockey, but my son plays football and he's drank the Kool-Aid on football, right? So he knows he knows all the players, he knows all the fucking stats, and he knows all this stuff, right? So, anyways, when they lost the other weekend, and I was like, well, not that I thought they were going to make the playoffs. So I said, but they're officially out now. And he sits me down, and this is my son, 14 years old, and he's like, well, Dad, you know what? Cousins didn't have a bad season. He just needs an O line. Like he just really
Yeah.
needs an O line. And he's explaining everything to me. He's like, "Don't give up on your team just yet, Dad. Like they're not that bad. Like they're just a couple draft picks away, and then they'll be back being good again." And he cheers for
Just
Seattle. So,
just a couple years of rebuilding.
yeah, just a couple. Yeah, yeah. Famous last.
I've been a Viking fan my whole life, and that's what it's felt like my whole life. We're just like one player away.
One player away. Yeah.
It's like being a Leafs fan.
Well, okay. Now we don't need to get into bringing up the Leafs because then I'll cry, and nobody needs to see. Nobody needs to see that. Okay, let's talk broke beak custom calls, buddy. So now, so you started. You said earlier that you're not really a goose guy. You're a duck guy, but are you making goose calls and duck calls?
I only do duck calls.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I looked at it as, I mean, I think it would be cool to do goose calls if I could make my own guts.
Right.
And I just haven't had time to mess with making my own guts. So I don't want to
Yeah.
buy other people's guts and put them in there. It's sort of, in
That's
my
fair.
mind, it's like buying an echo insert and throwing it in a duck call. I
Well-
mean, I don't want to offend anybody by that because that's all fine and games, but I like doing everything myself. So
No, and you know what? The fact that as you said it, what a ton of people listening to this show was immediately going through their head. Well, I could go buy an Echo insert and do it. Hey, nothing against it. I'm not saying that because you guys are way more talented than I'll ever be because I can't even use a call, let alone make one. So so I'm not throwing shade on anybody for whatever they do, but there's a group of people that, hey, listen, if I'm saying I'm making it, I'm making it. I'm not buying parts from somebody else or whatever, right? That's just the way
correct.
it is. That's just the way it is,
Yeah,
man.
I totally got into call making I thought I was gonna buy some cheap lathe online and just make like one or two calls for me and my buddy, a couple buddies or something, and just as to prove I could do it. That's just
Right.
100% what it was. And then I got addicted to, when I first started turning, I thought, oh, I want these bright acrylic, flame,
Yeah.
lava type colored acrylics, and I mean, they're cool, but then I start getting into more of the wood stuff, and I that's where I fall. I like natural woods and
Yeah.
whatever.
And I'm like, so I do not like the swirl calls. I don't know what it is. It's just not my thing. I like solid colors. I just like
Yeah.
one simple color. I don't like that swirly stuff. But again, who am I? Like it's
But
just personal
a lot of these
preference, right?
people that are wanting to spend money on calls are these young kids, so they like bright colors because they want to be cooler than their buddies,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely, absolutely. Hey, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm just saying my personal
stuff like
preference.
this. I don't know how well you can see it, but
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, see that does nothing for me.
no.
But
So a guy wants a call that looks like Nebraska, so I got to
okay,
engrave a Nebraska logo in it. That's just
corn
he has
corn
all
huskers.
he's trying. Yep, he's trying
Yeah,
to form the Big Ten in calls, and I'm gradually making them for him as we go. So
I'll get a yeah, I'll throw out a statement right now, and this should get some people's comments going on the podcast. The Big Ten is the most overrated conference in all of college football. There, I said it. And
what are you, an
let's
Alabama fan or what?
no, I just I heard
No,
somebody say it.
I don't disagree with it actually.
I don't know.
I'm a
I don't.
Badger fan, but
Yeah.
they never. I mean, right now Fickle's he's gradually building a team, and I think in a few years he might actually have something, but he's trying to get where he is by recruiting, and he's just not there yet. So
Yeah. Well, Alabama. I like Alabama, but you definitely wouldn't be throwing around that you're a big Alabama fan after this past weekend. So
yeah,
you know, Philly. I know that you were just chomping to say something, and college football is not in your wheelhouse
It's
whatsoever.
not in my forte, no.
Not in your wheelhouse
Or,
whatsoever.
or any sports for that matter.
Yeah, go sports team. Go local
Yeah.
sports team.
How about that local team? Yeah,
It's awesome. It's
whatever.
awesome. But so yeah, so you said, you really just wanted to prove it to yourself that you could make a call, but so you obviously proved it to yourself that you could make a call. And I know, like, we've got a bunch of friends in common, like Rusty Heron and Greg Taylor, and that whole community on Call Nuts, which I know you're a part of. Like, for a young, and I don't want to say young, because, or anybody that's inexperienced at call making, and just like you decided you were going to try it. How important was that call nuts, and those people, those friends of yours and people that you had met, and sort of kind of helping you find your way and getting your own sound and your own call?
Yeah, I guess I have hit up a bunch of them for, like, not so much questions on how to make it, it's just like, "Hey,
Yeah,
how can yeah, you got a little more of a squeal or something in your feed chuckle, how what does it take to get that? You don't have to give me
right,
dimensions, Um, a lot of it is I think the coolest thing about the call community to me is just the people all are in it for the same thing. It's not about the money that you make by making calls. A lot of them are putting more money back into tooling or
right,
buying more blanks or whatever. It is very little to do with the money. That's funny money to most people. It's like
right,
most people, it's not their full time job. It's the call community that makes it. They all meet up in different states for different events, Callapalooza, and different stuff like that. I mean,
right.
I have never participated with it because a lot of that stuff is a long ways from my house, so it's not like I got to
Yeah,
take a whole weekend to get away, and
right.
with two young kids, that's just not feasible right now. So
Yeah, buddy, I hear you. I hear you. But but you talk about those things. You talk about Callapalooza and all of that stuff. There's always been a rich history, especially in the States, right? I don't think it's so much in Canada, but in the States, there's always been a rich history of call making, and from coast to coast, really. And now you see things like what John Stevens is doing with the Callapalooza, and bringing all the people in, and then the NWTF and all of this. Like, it just seems like now is such, it's like the heyday. And this is just me talking without having any experience in the call making world, but it just seems like now is like prime time to be making calls, because you've got all these forums and people that you can ping ideas off, and YouTube and all of this stuff, and with the events like Callapalooza and NWTF, all that stuff, like, it's got to be uh, a smorgasbord of just ideas and people to brainstorm with, to get your idea.
yeah, that I think it's cool when, like, I had a waterfall fest. We have a waterfall festival here in Oshkosh, and I have a booth up there every year, and it's sort of neat because people walk by the booth, and I mean, some of them, just because I only live an hour away, so some people from this area will be up there.
Right.
But then you'll also run into people like some call makers from Illinois were up there this year, and they heard of my name, and I
That's
heard of
cool.
their name, but we never met. So it's like we ended up doing call trays when we're up there, and they had some calls along with them, and we just
That's cool.
swapped calls, right? And that I think is the neat thing. I mean, I'm starting a little collection here of different call makers that I can trade with, and I don't know. That's the cool part of it. So
Yeah, because you touched on it when you said, like, for the most part, I wouldn't throw out a percentage that anybody could take as gospel, but I would say, 90% of the call makers, like, this isn't what's putting food on their table, right? Like, this is a hobby. They're making a few dollars here and there, but it's their passion, I guess, and it's a hobby. They make a few bucks, but then they turn around and just invest it back into more lathes, more wood, more, you know, tools,
Yep.
whatever. There's very few fellas that's making a living at this, I would think.
Yeah, it's very few. Yeah, you just start looking, you think you're gonna make 1 or 2 calls for you and your buddies, and now, like, I think I'm going on year 4, and you're making 60 a year. My first year I made 50 calls. Like, who would ever think that? And I don't personally. I mean, I'll take more calls, but I really don't
Right.
want to get like that. Like that's the right number. 1 a week.
Yeah.
It gets me out putzing around in the shop a little bit, and
Yeah.
I like being able to use my own mind on doing other things. Like, just I don't want to be like where I got this long book of orders, right? You just
Right.
sort of
Well, you don't want it to become a job, right?
yeah.
Because
And I
once it
like doing fundraiser type stuff. I like raising money for events by donating calls to events. I mean, I got to be selective on the ones that I donate to, because you can't just go in debt doing this either. But like
right, that's right.
I'll donate where I can, or the things that really mean something. I know there'll be families in the area that are in need of funds for whatever reason, my medical bills, or
Yeah.
events in the area that I really support big time. So I'll throw a call into their raffles or whatever to try raising them some money. Or like I do it for our veterans hunt. I raise $2,000 off a call every year to send veterans to Lake Erie walleye fishing. It's like there's different stuff like that I love supporting, right? And
Yeah.
doing little heirloom projects for people, like they want to remember dad or their brother
Right.
or whatever. And I like them stories, taking dad's wood and making them into something. And that
Right.
this call I got right here. I mean, there's an engraving. I gotta look at my camera here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a buddy of mine. He doesn't know he's getting this yet, but a buddy of mine, his dad was in the Navy in the Korean War, and he's still around. He's like 92, 93 years old, but he gave me a bunch of he used to be a woodworker, and he can't do it anymore.
Right.
So one day he dropped off a bunch of walnut for me to make calls out of. And now I decided, I'm like, I gotta make something for his boy. It was a good buddy of mine. And so I made him a turkey call with his dad's picture engraved in it, and it's like with the wood that he gave me, right? And
Yeah.
it's stuff like that. That's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. That you're right. That's what it's all about, Phil.
Yeah, like I couldn't agree more. Like, something like that, like that's a total keepsake. Like,
Mhm.
Whether he even, scuffs a corner and takes it out and does a couple of scratches and hopefully bag a turkey, but like, something like that, like, he was generous enough to give you, these materials, and in turn give them back. Like, that's a true, how do I word this?
Heirloom. That's a true, like
Well, I was gonna say, like a true something of character.
yeah,
Something
I know.
of that nature.
Yeah, I get what
So
you're saying.
Chris is a good guy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I get
No
what
big
you're
words.
saying.
No big words.
Yeah.
Marmalade.
Chris is good people.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. Like, and you're right. Like, you can't go bankrupt. You can't put yourself in debt. Like, it takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. You've got a young family. You're hunting. You've got a full-time job that's 40 hours a week, perhaps more. Plus, you've got a young family. Plus, you're already volunteering at this and that. Like, you're right. You have to be. How can I put? If you wanted to, you could be in your shop every day, turning calls, and working like a dog, and just handing calls out, hand over fist to every swinging dick out there. Um, but then that takes it away. Then it becomes a job. Then it becomes something that you need to do, and then that's when the fun is taken away from it, right? And that's the
Correct.
last thing. That's the last thing you want to have happen is the fun to be taken away from it. But I do have to tell you that I really want to be involved somehow with your hunt next year. So we'll talk offline,
Okay.
because I really want to be involved somehow. If it's just me sending some swag down for you guys to do some raffles on, or whatever.
Yep.
But I really want to be part of that, because I think I need to, and I think it'll only make the event that much better. Not
Yep.
because
No,
it's
I
my
would
stuff,
appreciate
but
that.
just because somebody gets to walk away with something else that's free, really, right? And
Yep.
and let's face it, I love getting free shit just as much as anybody. So, and look,
Yeah.
at Phil's up there salivating thinking about free shit. Nobody loves free shit like Phil.
He didn't get that Habitat sweatshirt for free though. I don't
No,
think.
no,
So.
no. Oh
No.
no, no,
No.
no. Neither was his hunt at Habitat
Yeah.
Flats free either. But but the memories are well worth it.
You
Are
can't
worth
put a
it.
price tag on memories.
You get well, that's what you
I
said to me.
watch it. I watch videos of Tony, and it's like, oh man, it's just once in my life.
I also
Dude.
got one of the last cheapest hunts ever in history at Habitat Flats.
I seen the price increase
Yeah.
this week. But what were we talking about today, Phil? We were talking about something today.
Like buying guns and shit.
Buying guns and stuff. Oh, it was your dad. It was your dad just bought a new gun, right? And you were like,
Yeah.
you can't put a price tag on memories.
Thank fuck, like no one I'm related to listens to the show. So my mom and my sister. So my sister's a teacher, so she's on like her 2 weeks vacation. My mom's obviously retired. So my mom and my sister go away on vacation for this past week to like Curacao. So if anyone knows where Curacao is, like somewhere's like in the middle of the ocean to the right of Aruba, north of Venezuela. Anyways, so they go down there for a little mother-daughter trip. I shit you not, my fucking father leaves Pearson Airport and goes straight to fucking Gagnon's
And buys a gun.
and buys himself a brand new 20 gauge Wingmaster. like he literally like sent me a photo. I'm like, has mom's plane fucking taken off yet? Like I can still see the packing grease in the photo.
You know,
Can't put a price because my dad sends me the photo. He's like, well, picked up a little something new today. Maybe the boys might inherit it. I'm like, are you for fucking real? Like, has the plane even left fucking Pearson yet?
you know what I take from that story? I take from that story that at some point in my relationship with my wife, I'm going to have a bank account that she knows nothing about, and I can spend money and buy guns, and she'd be none the wiser. That's what I take from that, because I can tell you right now for a fact that my wife has some goddamn notification on her phone the minute I spend $1 out of our bank account.
Oh, mine does.
Yeah. And soon as there's money spent, she's like, what did you just buy?
Like the phone's ringing. You haven't even taken your bank card out of the terminal.
Yeah.
What are you buying? What are you doing?
Yeah. What are you buying? You better not be buying another gun.
Oh no, it's for you, sweetheart.
Yeah, it's for. Hey, here's one for you. So, and this is this is insane that this is a conversation that my wife and I had like 3 nights ago. We're watching some show on Netflix or something, and
Grey's
it's
Anatomy.
no, it was no, it's not Grey's Anatomy. It's like an army show, like soldiers and stuff like this, or like CIA agents or something. Anyways, there's a girl. Oh, it was called Lioness.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool show. So, and this girl is on there, and she's got an AR and she's shooting, and this woman is badass, right? And Trish says to me, she goes, you know what? I think I'd like to shoot guns. I was like, you don't want to hunt? She was like, no, I don't want to hunt. I don't want to kill anything. I just think I'd like to shoot guns. I was like, so like what? Going to a range and shooting paper? And she was like, yeah. She said, I think I'd like that. And I'm like, sweet Jesus. That's an excuse to start buying some fucking cool guns. I was like, okay, I'm on this. I'm gonna get you your license, your gun license, and we're gonna go, and that's because of course, right? She's a girl, so we've got to do things as a couple. We've got to do couple things, and all the couple things that she's thrown out in the past, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So now, like out of the blue, she just said, I think I'd like to shoot guns. I'd like to know how to shoot a gun. I was like,
then you got to be careful.
Well, yeah,
right?
Yeah, well, they'll be locked up in my safe. They'll be locked in my safe where I only have the key.
This is where we insert our.
You don't even
token
own your
person-
bank account.
Well,
True.
no, I don't own my bank account, but I own my gun safe.
This is where we insert the token Simpsons reference of the night.
Yeah.
When Homer buys Marge a bowling ball
For her birthday, yeah.
with
Yeah.
his name on it.
With his name.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to be purchasing something
Several
in,
firearms.
something in the range of a 223 black.
You know what would be nice is like
Yeah.
a JR Combine.
I don't know what that is.
JR Combine, they take Glock magazines, but they're pistol cal. So like you can give them like it looks like
no.
looks like an AR,
Yeah, but it's
but they're
9
all
mil.
pistol rounds, 9 mil, 40 cal.
Okay.
They're like slicker than whale shit, and obviously zero recoil.
I-
They're just cool.
I've never heard that one before. Slicker than whale shit.
whale.
Slicker than whale shit.
Oh, buddy, you haven't heard that one before? Fuck, Phil throws that one out all the time. But yeah, so again, remember Chris when I said we're all over the place and we're on tangents? This is one of them. Yeah. So we've totally hijacked 10 minutes of your airtime on this show to talk about
10 minutes you'll never get back.
Yeah, 10 minutes you'll never get back. It's just utter bullshit. That's all that's being talked about on here. But anyways,
I expected no other.
okay, good. Okay, good. As long as we're not ruining your expectations or anything like
Chris
that.
is a seasoned listener, so he knows
he
what
is.
to expect.
You have.
You got to realize I drive an hour to work and I drive an hour back home every single day, and I listen between your podcast and a few others.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
You being a veteran guy, a good one would be the Frag Out podcast. That's in Wisconsin. It's all veteran, usually veteran.
Oh, really?
Guests on there. You might like that. So
what's
it's called the Frag Out? Frag Out podcast.
Okay.
Yep.
Frag Out.
He's a guy that has come to our veterans hunt multiple times. There's a few pretty good. I mean, they're all good guys, but there's a few that I actually know that have been his guests, and it's quite interesting listening to some of them.
That's awesome. I will listen to that. I'd love it. I've served with Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I'm sure there'd be some good laughs there. So
that's what I think is funny. Like the veterans are also appreciative to come into our event. After they're ready to go home, they're like, "Man, I'm not ready for this to be over yet." And they're like, you turn into friends with them in a matter of 3 days that you've got to meet some of them.
Yeah.
And you come to realize what that event meant to them, but what they don't realize is to the guides or the people that are donating their time to this event, it is meaning just as much to them. Some of them are getting the just satisfactory of knowing they're giving back.
Yeah.
Some of them are, you're gaining friends through this thing. You're taking off of work because it's fun. It's just pure fun. So I have fun hunting with my buddies, and when these veterans are coming in there, you're having just as dumb of talks as you are with them. Just jabbing and that's the fun part, because they'll catch right on to you ripping on your buddy. They're sitting there hunting with you and your buddy, and they're going, "Oh, I can do this. Well, I'm gonna get right in on this." Right?
Oh yeah, buddy. There's no splitting of atoms going on when there's a bunch of veterans around. Like there's like if you're looking for the theory of relativity to be explained to you, it ain't happening in the blind with a bunch of veterans. The thing, and I know you've had testimonials and people that have, written letters and have given you feedback on your hunts and stuff like that, and the camp. But if I could dumb it down, in the States, I find that the general public in the States are much more appreciative of their military than what they are in Canada. Same with our police officers, right? In Canada, we don't give them the love that they necessarily deserve. So for Canadian veterans, like when something like that is held and you're given back as a thank you to them, like it is a very, very big deal. And even so in the States, right? Like, so I say the general public is a lot more appreciative of the military in the States but your military is also 10 times bigger than what ours is. So everybody that served, they don't necessarily get a chance to, I guess, to appreciate the love that the general public throws at them, right? So a hunt like
Mhm.
this, when they get to come out where everything's taken care of, sure, they've got to get themselves there, and maybe they got to spring for a hotel room, which is that's fucking minor. That's minor because you're going to get to
And
go
they don't
out.
even have to do that. They
Yeah,
don't
and
even have to do that.
they don't have to do that, right? But they get
No.
to go out, hang out with a bunch of people that they already know are speaking their language, knows their thought process, and they can come and they can let their guard down for a weekend. That is something, buddy, that they can never repay you for. And that's how they think, right? Like and that's what they're thinking when they walk away, when they say like we're not ready for this to be over. Like it is honest to God, they're not ready for it to be over because for the past 72 hours, they've let their guard down and now they're hanging out with people and it could be complete strangers, but everybody is speaking the same language. Everybody is acting the same, doing stupid shit, playing grabby ass, the whole bit. That's stuff that's priceless to those guys and girls, right? And what you're doing,
Right.
and I know you said like the other volunteers, like it means something to them. And I know it do. I know the volunteers are happy to do it and they love to do it. But I don't think no matter what is said when these veteran camps are over with, I don't think it'll ever be put into words just how appreciative those veterans are for somebody to take their time for a weekend and hang out with them and ensure that they have a good time. Yeah, you know what? Maybe they don't get birds, but you'll have
Mhm.
laughs and you'll eat good. You know what
Well,
I mean? And that stuff is
I mean,
priceless to them.
that's what I try to do every Saturday night, like we have food and beer and all that stuff, but when the sometime through the 7 to 8 o'clock, couple hours after we got back and ate, I just try to step back and look at the whole crowd generated. And we have a bonfire going, and looking at the smiles and just the rumble of laughter and talking, and like
Yeah.
a lot of these people have never met each other before this weekend, right? And
Yep.
so like the event starts out on a Friday night, and they all come and eventually show up between 1 and 5 o'clock in the evening. We have a lots and lots of pizza. I don't know if that's a thing up in Canada or not, but they bring their truck right on our grounds, and they cook right on our grounds for us. We just
Oh,
have to have
cool.
people that hand out the pizza, to the people.
Yeah.
They walk around and have a bonfire, and it's just a meet and greet, and then we assign who they're going to get the hunt with the next morning.
Yep.
So we'll do morning hunt. We'll do a morning and an afternoon hunt on Saturday,
Yep.
and these veterans get different types of hunting on every hunt, so they can hunt 3 different hunts.
Yep.
We have a game farm that releases pheasants for them, and we'll take them on a pheasant hunt. We got
Oh, cool.
a water hunt out on the marsh,
Yep.
and then we got field hunting, with a group that I set up or whatever.
That's awesome.
And so they get to experience all 3 types of hunting. So we'll have just different things they get to experience, and different people they get to meet because they don't get to hunt with the same people every time, and
Yeah.
um, guides or just veterans that they're getting to go with, right?
Yeah.
And, so that's the cool thing. And then on Saturday morning, they hunt. They have breakfast, then they hunt. Then they come back. We have a big raffle, just door prizes that were generated from
Yep.
donations like what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
other companies and whatever in the area. And then it goes to going out in the afternoon, hunting again, coming back. We have Texas Roadhouses in
Yep.
our area. I don't know if you guys
Yep.
have
I know.
them up there.
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Um, they donate the food for us on Saturday night. They
Wow.
come with their cooking. They cook steaks and chicken right on their cookers right in our grill right in our grounds, and it's just phenomenal, And it's like, who would ever have thought that it started with 4 people? 2 guys had an idea, 2 buddies that were never in the military had an idea just to give back and bring 4 veterans. and
Wow.
it turns into 85, and we just can't take anymore. There's just not enough ground to make it an enjoyable hunt. And that's the cool thing. And we don't say advertise for donations. I mean, we'll hit up some of the local businesses and stuff like that, but we're not like doing fundraisers. It's all just from people knowing people, like, oh, you should give to this and whatever, or people hear about it. Oh, he took my nephew hunting. I got a few extra bucks. I want to throw some money in on this, right?
That's awesome.
That's a lot of it isn't local business. It's just Joe had a little extra $100 to give, whatever.
Right.
So that's the cool thing.
It's a to steal that terms, that grassroots thing, right? It started as a grassroots thing, and it still is, right? Like, yeah, I'm sure you could jump on Facebook and on social media and promote the hell out of this and try and get as much corporate sponsors as you want. But you know what? I think you guys are doing it the right way. Keep it
well,
the way.
We don't advertise for businesses, right? It's about the veterans. So we don't.
That's right.
We don't have like all these flyers and big banners of who gave to us and whatever. And we're appreciative to the people that do donate to us. I don't want to make that sound bad, but it's not about them. It's about the veterans, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the people that do donate to us realize this, right? They realize that that's why we're doing this. And it's the small town America is still alive. It's in Horicon, Wisconsin, and all these small little old ladies bake cookies and they want to give back to the veterans, right? And that truly does happen. There's pies and cakes and whatever, and they drop them off, and it's like, so small town America is still alive, and you got to cherish those moments. So
that's good to hear, man. It is good to hear that stuff like that is still happening, where just out of the goodness of somebody's heart, they're donating or wanting to help, and there doesn't have to be a ton of strings attached to it, right? Boys, we're almost at that 60-minute mark. So Chris, I think this really calls for you having to come back on the show again, dude, because we really didn't even get into your own call making. We spent a lot of time talking about bullshit, and then the veteran hunt, which is awesome, and I can't thank you.
That's what this is about, man. I have no problem with that.
So. I can't thank you enough, and I'm just a Canadian. But what you're doing, I promise you. Yeah. Cheers, brother.
Greg Taylor, right there. Greg Taylor.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. I think what you guys are doing is awesome, and like I said, I want to be a part of. I want to do something for it next year. So we'll be talking offline, and we'll figure something out. But 60 minutes is up. We'll do a quick round of table, and we'll end it. Just in case Corey Baker is getting mad at us for being over 60 minutes. Philly, to you, buddy.
Chris, great having you on, bud. It seems like your guys' business model, like for how you run things, again, like the sponsorships and donations and stuff, is just like, it's something else. Like, you guys definitely have your head in the right spot, and the purpose and the premise behind what you're doing, and that's the big focus, and not all the hoopla and the jazz around it and promotion, this and that. So good on you guys, and be great to have you guys back, or have you back maybe post event this fall, when you guys
that'd be cool,
do your hunt, and
or even during it. That would be cool. That would be cool if you were able to carve
a sober hour.
Well, sober hour, but if you were able to carve an hour out of the evening, and if there was a couple dudes and girls that wanted to come on and just shoot the shit, that would be cool. And just and hear it from him.
We could try doing that. We could try to get the computer up there in one of the boathouses and get some people.
Yeah, nice. I think
we've done that actually before. So if you listen to the Frago podcast, there's one of them that is the Horicon Marsh Veterans Hunt, and he has done it live at our event. So
that's cool. That's cool.
You should listen to that one for sure.
Yeah,
so.
I will. Awesome. To you, Chris, sorry. Last words to you.
I just appreciate you having me on to bullshit with you, and to just, you guys seem like good people. I mean, I'm just following you guys on Facebook and listening to podcasts. I truly enjoy listening to it and appreciate your time.
No, buddy, thank you so much for having the patience with me because like I said, this should have happened a long time ago and it hasn't. And I finally able to, and even though I think it was a month ago when we picked this date, so we finally just said, you know what, fuck it, we'll do it in January. What date works for you in January? This day works for me in January. All right, let's put it in solid, no more screwing around. So thanks for your patience, buddy. Thank you for everything that you do for the veterans because I will speak on their behalf and tell you you have no idea how much how much they appreciate it. So please keep it up. I do want to be somewhat. I want to be involved in it somehow, even if it's just me sending some hats. I don't care. I do want to be involved next year. And by no means am I looking for shout outs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Union 0430. We are not experts, and nor will we ever pretend to be experts at anything other than Philly being able to pull out a Simpsons quote here and there. We're pretty good at throwing out the Simpsons quotes.
Good for something.
We're good for something. Remember, buy that firearm because you can't put a price on memories.
No.
Big love, everybody. Until next time. Thanks again, Chris.